It was one of those overcast afternoons in Charleston, South Carolina, when the sky wore a heavy, indistinct gray and a gentle drizzle blurred the city's historic charm. The streets, lined with moss-draped oak trees and centuries-old brick buildings, carried a quiet melancholy that made every sound seem amplified. The distant hum of modern traffic mingled with a soft clatter of footsteps on cobblestones, all echoing whispers of a bygone era. On such a day, Seaside Brew, a modest, time-worn café tucked away on a quiet side street, was about to become the unlikely stage for a series of events that would forever alter the life of one devoted waitress and ripple far beyond the café's cozy confines. Marissa had worked at Seaside Brew for years, her days a seamless blend of routine and relentless effort. The café, with its faded vintage posters, chipped wooden tables, and a counter polished smooth by decades of service, was both a sanctuary and a constant reminder of the struggles that defined her everyday existence. Each day, as she carefully wiped down tables, refilled sugar jars, and took orders with a practiced smile, Marissa carried with her the burden of overdue bills and the constant pressure to make ends meet. Today, like so many days before, she felt the weight of an impending rent deadline and the silent loneliness that came with feeling invisible in a world obsessed with speed and surface. The day began with a steady drizzle that seeped through the cracks of the old building, and Marissa's shift unfolded slowly. As she maneuvered through the small dining area, the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee intertwined with the sweet scent of warm pastries, providing a brief respite from the harsh realities of her life. However, beneath her determined smile lay an undercurrent of exhaustion and quiet desperation, a feeling that no matter how hard she worked, she remained unseen. Just as Marissa was finishing up the last table by the expansive window, where light filtered in softly and revealed a view of rain-slicked streets, a sudden jingle from the doorbell shattered the monotony of her thoughts. Startled, she looked up and saw a tall, lean man entering the café. He moved with an effortless grace that starkly contrasted the worn surroundings of Seaside Brew. Dressed in a simple yet impeccably neat shirt and slacks, with polished shoes completing his understated look, his presence radiated a quiet elegance that demanded attention without effort. In that instant, as Marissa's eyes widened in recognition, she realized with a jolt that the man before her was none other than Barron. Her heart pounded fiercely. For a moment, the world around her, the hum of conversation, the clinking of cutlery, even the soft indie melody playing in the background, faded into the periphery as her mind raced. How could someone whose face had dominated headlines and television screens now sit, unadorned by the trappings of fame, in her humble workplace? With all the professionalism she could muster, Marissa approached the table in the far corner of the café, a spot that promised a degree of privacy. "Good afternoon," she said softly, forcing a smile. "May I start you off with something to drink?" Barron's gaze lifted, and his eyes, unexpectedly warm and gentle, met hers. "I'd like a cappuccino, please. And perhaps one of your croissants," he replied, his voice quiet yet imbued with a sincere calm that contrasted sharply with the celebrity image she had come to know. Marissa jotted down his order, her hand steady even as her mind swirled with conflicting emotions. Here, in this unassuming setting, was a man whose name had been synonymous with power and privilege, now reduced to simply a customer. Yet his demeanor, so genuine, so unhurried, hinted at layers of complexity beneath that public image. Returning to the counter, Marissa resumed her work, though her thoughts refused to settle. As she frothed the milk for the cappuccino, creating delicate swirling patterns that crowned the steaming espresso, she stole glances toward the quiet corner where Barron sat. He remained motionless, his eyes fixed out the window as if he were lost in memories, his every sip of water measured and deliberate. His posture was relaxed, yet there was an unmistakable air of contemplation about him, an inner depth that suggested he carried burdens far beyond the superficial expectations of his lineage. Time passed slowly, each moment stretching longer than the last. Finally, with the cappuccino and a warm, flaky croissant prepared, Marissa balanced the tray with care and approached his table once again. "Here you go," she said gently, placing the cup and pastry in front of him with a tenderness that belied the clinical routine of her work. Barron's eyes flickered toward her, and for a brief, heart-stopping moment, their gazes locked. A faint smile graced his lips as he murmured, "Thank you." His simple gratitude, delivered in a voice that exuded quiet sincerity, struck a chord deep within Marissa. It was as though, in that brief exchange, the weight of all her struggles had been acknowledged, even if just for a moment. After a few sips and bites, something unexpected happened. Barron reached slowly into his pocket, as if gathering the courage to share a secret. With deliberate care, he pulled out a small pen and scribbled something on the receipt from his order. Folding the paper meticulously, He tucked it neatly beneath the empty coffee cup as if safeguarding a treasure. Marissa's curiosity ignited. Her mind buzzed with questions about the note's contents. Was it merely a personal message, or did it hold a deeper meaning? Yet duty called, and she continued with her tasks, though every so often, her eyes drifted back to that table with growing anticipation. Hours later, during a lull in the café's activity, Marissa found a quiet moment behind the counter. Unable to resist any longer, she retrieved the folded note left behind on the table. With trembling hands, she unfolded the paper slowly. The neat, deliberate handwriting brought the message into focus. Your kindness and hard work do not go unnoticed. My family has been where you are. Stay strong, brighter days are coming. Beneath this heartfelt message was a tip so generous that it defied all expectations, a 4-digit amount that left her momentarily breathless. In that instant, tears welled up in her eyes, not solely for the monetary windfall but for the profound reminder of her worth. The note was not just a gesture of financial relief, it was an acknowledgement, a validation that her relentless efforts, her quiet dignity, had been seen and valued. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Marissa felt truly recognized, as though the universe had whispered, "You matter." The story of the note spread quickly through the café. Whispers and murmurs filled the room as patrons and co-workers exchanged astonished glances. Social media soon erupted with headlines such as Barron Trump leaves heartwarming note for Waitress at Seaside Brew, and a simple act of kindness sparks national conversation. The tale resonated far beyond the humble walls of Seaside Brew, igniting discussions about empathy, the dignity of everyday workers, and the transformative power of small acts of kindness. As the day slowly turned into evening, the once ordinary atmosphere of the café was transformed. Regular customers approached Marissa with gentle smiles and words of admiration, and even her manager, who had once offered nothing more than a brief nod of encouragement, now looked at her with genuine warmth and respect. "You're a local hero, Marissa," her manager remarked with a mixture of pride and astonishment. Yet, amid the newfound attention, Marissa felt conflicted, a mix of gratitude and vulnerability, as if her private struggles had been laid bare for the world to see. That night, as Marissa closed up the café, she sat quietly behind the counter with the note clutched tightly in her hands. Outside, under the soft glow of streetlights and to the rhythm of a gentle rain, she allowed herself a moment of introspection. The note was a testament to the fact that even in the smallest gestures, there lies the power to transform a life. "Stay strong, brighter days are coming," those words echoed in her heart like a promise. For the first time in months, Marissa believed that her struggles were not in vain, that her hard work was seen, and that hope could indeed blossom in the unlikeliest of places. In the days that followed, Marissa's story became a beacon of inspiration. Local news outlets picked up the tale, and soon interviews and community discussions buzzed with talk of empathy and the significance of recognizing every individual's intrinsic worth. On a popular morning show, Marissa recounted her experience with a voice trembling between emotion and newfound strength. "It wasn't about the tip, it was about knowing that someone saw me, understood my struggles, and cared enough to remind me that I matter. That small act of kindness has given me the strength to keep going." Her words resonated with countless viewers, sparking a broader conversation about the power of compassion and the transformative effect of even the simplest gestures. As weeks turned into months, Seaside Brew evolved from a modest cafe into a symbol of hope and connection. Customers began leaving their own notes of thanks on napkins, and the air was filled with genuine smiles and whispered words of encouragement. Marissa, who had once felt invisible, now carried the note with her as a cherished talisman, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, kindness could light the way. Yet, despite the overwhelming positivity, Marissa grappled with a sudden attention. The story of the note had spread like wildfire across social media, turning her into an unexpected local celebrity. Interviews, blog posts, and community events celebrated her story, but deep down, she felt a pang of vulnerability. She was just a waitress, after all, hardworking, dedicated, but fundamentally ordinary. The notion that her private struggle had become a public beacon of hope was both humbling and overwhelming. One rainy morning, as Marissa prepared for another shift, her phone buzzed incessantly with messages from strangers, fellow workers, and even critics. Headlines like Barron Trump's note sparks national conversation on kindness flashed across her screen. Yet, as she read through the myriad messages, one thought resonated more than the rest. Kindness was not a commodity, but a universal language, a language that transcended wealth, status, and appearances. Later that day, during a quiet moment behind the counter, Marissa gathered the courage to reflect on everything that had transpired. She clutched the note in her hands, reading the words over and over. Your kindness and hard work do not go unnoticed. My family has been where you are. Stay strong. Brighter days are coming. In that silent reverie, Marissa realized that this message was not just meant for her. It was a reminder for all who felt unseen, for every person struggling against the tide of everyday hardships. By the end of that transformative day, as the last customer left and the lights dimmed over Seaside Brew, Marissa felt a quiet shift within her soul. The note had given her more than a financial boost. It had rekindled her belief in the value of her own humanity. And as she locked the door behind her, the gentle patter of rain on the pavement seemed to whisper a promise. Even the smallest acts of kindness have the power to change lives, to spark hope, and to remind us that we are never truly invisible. This story, a tapestry woven from everyday struggles, unexpected encounters, and the profound power of empathy, invites us all to believe in brighter days. It is a testament to the fact that when someone takes a moment to see you for who you truly are, it can change everything, transforming not only a day but an entire life, one sip of hope at a time.